and some of the other games.
Recording is on.
Okay, now it's on. Well, that took a while to kick in.
I forgot to press OK.
Oh, okay. So, so those game systems do indefinitely impact the role-playing game style.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is how heavy the rules are, right? That's going to tend to change how people lean on the rules versus, not use the rules. No Thank You Evil is very rules light. BECMI D&D, basic D&D from 1983 is very rules light.
Mm-hmm.
People tend to ROLE play far more with a rules light system than ROLL play with the rules heavy system. So with Rollmaster, GURPS, etc., you'll tend to see people rolling constantly. Oh, I try this, roll. I try that, roll. I want to do this, roll. Versus BECMI and stuff, there's no skills in the default BECMI, basic D&D. You only rarely roll when it's critical. There's rolling for combat and it's minimal, and there aren't skills, and you do occasional stat checks and saving throws, but it's a lot of just judgment, and a lot more free-form role-playing happens with BECMI compared to 5th edition D&D. I see a lot, and 5th edition D&D is much lighter than 3rd and 4th edition, which had a lot of skills, and people tended to roll more and rely more on the rules. 5th edition D&D, they lightened that up quite a bit, but nowhere near as much as BECMI basic D&D. So it's been very fascinating. So that's another reason why we need this activity analysis form to be finished, because we're trying to determine what these variables are in an empirical way between different game systems. So that then when we have a client assessment that says, here's their strengths and weaknesses and their play style, etc., and here's the goals that we're trying to achieve. So whether it's social skills development or mathematical skills or whatever it is. So let's say it's math. Too many people ignore this. Let's say you're not as interested in the social skills. That's a byproduct. You're primarily interested in helping them with their basic math skills. Maybe they have a brain injury, maybe they're young, whatever the reason. And you want to help them get over their fear of basic math. And so you might start, if they're really primitive skills, with No Thank You Evil, which is just a 6-sided and very simplistic, depending upon their level of function. But let's say it's more at the high school or higher level, and you're trying to get them to be less afraid of spreadsheets and matrices and probability understanding. Then you might want to use something like Rollmaster. And Rollmaster literally has entire books of just charts. You haven't seen this, have you, David? Let me grab a Rollmaster, especially the arms law, claw law.
Wow.
So this is a system that typically takes 4 hours to make a character, even for experienced players.
That looks really weird.
Players, it can take several sessions. So this is the older Rollmaster 2nd edition, Arms Law, Claw Law. And so you'll need to be watching on the stream to see this, because you're not going to be able to see it. Parenting style doesn't mean I didn't sometimes. You'll want to mute the audio on the stream. And this is literally just a book of spreadsheets. It takes 4 hours to make a character, even for experienced players. Can you mute the YouTube audio so that it's not looping? Okay. So when you do combat in Rollmaster, it's all percentage based. And you roll percentile dice. And you have stat modifiers that are fairly complex and everything, and skill modifiers, etc., that you add to your roll. So you roll a 100-sided die. So you get a roll result anywhere from 1 to 100. 1 is very bad, 100 is very good. I won't get into open-ended rolls at this point. That's also a factor. We'll worry about that later. So you want to roll as high as you can. Then you add like your stat modifiers, and then if you have skills and training, you add those. So you might add like a plus 35 to your roll. So it's possible to get 135 off of a basic roll just between rolling 100 plus your stat and skill modifiers. And so then it's very specific to each weapon. So each chart and each armor class, there are 20 different armor class types, 1 through 20. So your armor type is anywhere from 1 to 20. And the game master or player cross-references your roll. So you have your roll. This is the total modified roll. By the way, the person you're attacking, they have defensive bonuses that lower your roll. So they might have a DB of 20. So your 135 gets subtracted 20 points. So you have a 115 is your total modified roll, right? It's harder to hit them because they have a shield or they jump out of the way or whatever. So you do all that math quickly. You get your total. You then go, let's say you're attacking with a bow. So I have 1 page for the 2 pages actually for the longbow. This is the longbow attack table. I have a different page for the crossbow. So I got heavy crossbow and then I got light crossbow, right? These are different charts. Each one's mathematically different. So here is my longbow, armor type 1 to 20. So I'm attacking somebody with an armor type of 13. So they're wearing like chainmail. And I got a 110. So I look here at 110 and I cross-reference 13 and I get 13 and a DP. I'm not done yet. That tells me I did 13 hit points of damage with that arrows. So I did hit them. So A, I hit them. B, I did 13 hit points of damage. Automatically, they're going to take 13 hit points of damage. And I did a critical. And the criticals can range from A through E, and then there's some others, but we'll just stick with A through E. A is the light criticals, the minimal critical. E is the most severe critical. E has the greatest chance of killing somebody in a single shot. A has the least likelihood of killing somebody in a single shot. So now I go to my crit charts, and it's a P, it's a DP. So D is the severity and P is the type. So on a scale of 1 to 5, A through E, a D is a 4. It's pretty severe. And it's a P, which means puncture. So now I'm going to go to my crit charts, and I've got slash criticals, crush criticals, and then puncture criticals. Because this is an arrow, it punctures, right? It doesn't slash, doesn't usually crush, although sometimes it can, depending on the armor. So I go to a puncture critical strike table, and I got A through E. And since it's a D, I look on here. Now I roll percentile, and it's just a flat percentile, 1 to 100, no modifier. And let's say I roll a 72. So 71 through 75, I cross-reference the D, and it says strike to lower leg. Foe is at minus 50 to all actions. Slash muscle and cartilage. They take 6 more hit points, and they're stunned and unable to parry for 2 rounds. It's quite detailed. Now, obviously, combat takes longer to resolve with this system than compared to like D&D or No Thanks for Evil, where it's a much simpler system. This is heavy, gritty detail, right? So that's Rollmaster, and people make fun of it. It's actually one I really love. And here's something a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think that Rollmaster tends to make people want to do a lot more combat because it has such a detailed, yeah, sorry about the chroma there. But because I have to turn that on and off as needed. We need to get the overhead camera working again, because then it doesn't need the chroma. But anyway, so what I found, though, and I have researched this, when people play Rollmaster, they may come to it because they like the gritty combat. They think that's pretty cool. So you may initially get more murder hobo type gravitating to it initially in a selective way. But when I've randomly assigned people to it and they manage to overcome the overwhelm of all those numbers and all that math, they start enjoying it. It does not make them more murder hobo-ish. In fact, it tends to reduce how many times they get into combat compared to D&D. D&D, because it buffers the effects of combat, oh, you take 5 hit points. Okay, no big deal. Where every time you get a fight with Rollmaster, you run the risk of your character being maimed or killed every single strike because of those crit charts. And D&D doesn't have that. D&D, you just whittle away hit points, no big deal. Rollmaster, combat is deadly, so the players over time learn, or they don't, but usually the players learn, we should only get into combat as a last resort, or only if we know we have a clear upper hand, right? We're going to make darn certain we have a really good ambush and advantage. We do not want to get in combat where we're going to lose our characters. It took us freaking 4 hours to make a character. I don't want my character to die. And I don't want my character to be maimed, right? You can lose your leg and limbs and stuff very quickly in this game. Your characters can be maimed very quickly. And so players may come in and more hobo-ish, but they come out the other end much more strategic and tactical than they went in. They tend to not charge in as they really do try to find other solutions. They try to outthink things, outthink the enemy rather than just attack them. So D&D, people have a tendency to go in and just try to fight them. Rollmaster, they tend to try to come up with very clever solutions to do anything but fight them, and only fight when they have no other choice or they think they've got a clear upper hand advantage. So they think much more carefully about how to play. And then I bring them back to D&D, and they play D&D differently. And I've done this multiple times and seen this effect. Now, what tends to happen, though, is as they keep playing D&D, they tend then to fall back into the old habits of, oh, it's just D&D. I don't have to worry about my character getting maimed or killed easily, especially newer editions and such, where it's much harder to die. Now, basic D&D, the original D&D and such, once you hit 0 hit points, your character is dead. So people tend to be much more careful and combat averse. So, whereas 5th edition, people aren't very combat averse because it's actually pretty hard for your character to die. So that has a big effect in when we're looking at behavior modification, which role-playing game to use. This is why we need the activity analysis form to help us figure out which is more dependent on chance, which is more dependent on skill, which is going to, encourage combat, which is going to discourage combat, which is going to encourage them to work together more cooperatively, which is going to encourage them to be more independent. We need to figure that out between all the different role-playing games. Now, I have enough experience with a lot of different games. I can kind of do that intuitively. As a human being, we're really good at pattern matching that way. But we need a more empirical, repeatable method, and that's what the activity analysis form is for. David is commenting. Let's see. David Griffith says, let's see. Okay, David Jeff says, I'm looking at doing some research with RPG game mechanics, specifically dice, and how they change aspects such as group dynamics in pursuit of understanding therapeutic benefits. David Jeff's, excuse me. David just also says, do you find that the role-playing of computer RPGs is as much of the role as tabletop? No, role-playing, computer role-playing games, unless they're VR and AR, you don't. There are computer-based role-playing games that do ROLE playing. Dragon Age, the first Dragon Age and Dragon Age Origins had a lot of role-play in it mixed with combat. But then the Dragon Age 2 was a lot more combat-centric and a lot less role-play. So some games do tend towards more of the story-driven, etc., and others far less. David Griffith, that's fascinating. Have you read any studies on like group dynamics at a craps table? I feel that should be a study already done by someone. Probably. I don't know, though. David Griffith, I personally find that tabletop games is much better than CRPG for role-playing because you are able to do more body language. Yeah, I mean, unless you're playing over the internet without good webcams and stuff, as David Jeff's camera freezes on and off. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said to that in-person experience. Really does have an impact. No, it didn't come out weird. I think that made sense. Okay, the chroma of the stream is messing up the YouTube video. I'm sorry about that. I got to get that overhead camera working. I'll see if I can fix that before I leave for the honeymoon. David Jeffs, I personally have done previous research in the field of computer-supported collaborative work, which touches upon group dynamics. Is craps a collaborative game? No. David Griffith, not really, but the dice is the star, so there might be some elements that might be usable. David Jeffs, nice. I might see if I can find some previous studies examining the group dynamics within craps. I think you might have better luck with maybe dominoes, like the East Asian games that use dominoes and such. I'm blanking all of a sudden on the name. Come on, help me, people.
Mahjong?
Those games. What's that?
Like Mahjong or?
Yes, things like that, like Mahjong and such, where they have a much more social interaction. They're not so much cooperative because they're competitive, but you've got a lot more social. The craps thing is such a simple mechanic compared to Mahjong having a lot more complexity and such. That might have more useful social info, but I don't know. I'm sure there's stuff on the dice side, just straight dice. That would be interesting. Yeah, thank you, David Griffith. Yes, Mahjong. That was what I was blanking on. Let's see. Omar, any comments, questions? Anything you'd
No.
like to cover? Okay. Are you finding this useful?
Yes. The disconnecting from Jitsi is alarming me a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just scared I'm gonna randomly disconnect.
Okay. That happened to all of us, though. So, and yeah, sometimes you just have to refresh. We're trying to get our own Jitsi server set up so we can have better control. But for now, we're having to use the public servers, and they tend to fluctuate in how much load they have. What's the question mark for? Yeah, Mahjong was exactly it, David Griffith. Eric, do you have any comments, questions, thoughts you want to share?
No, I just got derailed by the Mahjong.
Okay. What do you think of what I was just showing with Rollmaster?
I think it's not my style. It's too much.
Well, that's what a lot of people say at first. And so the way here's the thing, it's like anything else. If you front end load the rules too much, people run away screaming in terror. No matter what the game system. This is why I keep arguing about why we need better starter sets. By the way, the new D&D, the third version of the 5th edition D&D starter set came out yesterday. You guys know about this? Did you catch our show yesterday? We did a whole unboxing and walkthrough. We did a whole unboxing and walkthrough of this yesterday's show, so you can check that out. So the first 5th edition D&D starter set was this one, Lost Mine of Phandelver, etc. And as far as I argue, it's not a very good starter set. Compared to the 1983 Frank Metzer basic D&D starter set, it's not very good. It assumes somebody's got some prior gaming experience, really. Even though it says it doesn't, it really does. And you really have to read a lot. It front-end loads the rules too much. It's really not good for people who are brand new. It works, but they're not really following neuroscience principles very well. Then they came out with more recently, and this was just to placate people interested in Stranger Things, the series. So they came out with the starters, the basic set for Stranger Things. They call it starter set, but you really start about 3rd level. And it's a fun thing. And if you're a Stranger Things fan, you'll have a lot of fun. But it also is not quite. It's actually a little better than the other starter set, but still nowhere near as good as the Frank Metzer 1983 Beckme basic D&D. The one that just came out this Monday, and it's only available through Target until September, and they already were selling out rapidly yesterday, is this one. So this is the D&D Essentials Kit. They don't even call it a basic or starter set. They just call it the Essentials Kit. And it's got a lot of stuff. It's got maps and extra dice, and it's pretty good. But this one focuses, whereas this starter set gives you pre-gens, and there goes the green screen again. The first starter set focused on giving you pre-generated characters and jumping in and learning how to play the game. This one is all about making characters. It's walking you through a limited version of the rules, a basic set of the rules, 64-page rule book, to how to make characters, and then play them all the way up to about 5th or 6th level, which is a different strategy from the previous ones. And we're going to play test this. We will play this through. I don't know if they'll do it while I'm gone or wait till I'm back. We'll see. But we will do a full playthrough of at least 1 or 2 sessions with it. But looking through it, it is, again, no way near as good as the 1983 Frank Metzer basic D&D Beckme Introduction to Role-Playing. I really wish game manufacturers, producers would get a clue about so that it's accessible. The problem is they're setting too high a barrier to entry. All of these expect you to read and read and read and read. And while those of us in older generation love reading, don't have a problem with it, it's not very realistic about the current generational situation. Now, there will be the oddballs, the outliers who will do it, and then they will get a group going, etc. And so the problem is it's slowing down adoption that much more by setting too high a barrier to entry. And the Frank Metzer one doesn't do that. It knocks down those barriers. It's not perfect. It has issues. And it's no good as a reference book. You have to then go get the rules encyclopedia used as a reference book. Otherwise, you have to scan through freaking 8 little books. But for an introduction, if you've never played, you've never had anybody you know play, and you want to learn yourself, and then you want to DM for the first time, there isn't anything better still. And I have I currently have every single D&D starter set in existence from 1974 onward up on the shelves here. I've tracked them all down. We've checked them all out. And it's only the 1983 one that really gets it. They kind of got it with a reprint in 91 and 94. They got close here and there. But the 83 one still, especially for the DM side, like some of them do a pretty good job of introducing you as a player through some solo adventures. But then on the DM side, and Cthulhu tried to get that with 7th edition. They do a great job on the player side with the starter box. But then the DM side, you've got to read the whole rule book and the entire adventure instead of being able to just jump in and within 5 minutes be able to run a game. The Frank Menser one, you can DM your first game. So first you go through and you play the 3 solo adventures in the player's book. Now you hand that to another friend that you want to play with. While they go through that solo adventure, you now go ahead and open up the DM's guide. You only need to read for about 15 minutes or so, just the basics. It's like 2 pages. So 5 to 10, 15 minutes. And you can theoretically, and we've tested it, start DMing straight out of the book as you go and learn as you go. Yes, it's better if you read all the way through, but you can run your first game with your friend or friends once they've played the solo thing. Within about 5 to 15 minutes, you're DMing your first game. You're getting straight into the action, and it teaches you, it tells you what to roll and what to do as you play. Now, the others try to do that, but they fall short by quite a bit. And so I keep hoping that other game manufacturers will figure that out. There may be some other games out there that do it. Somebody yesterday was saying that the Pathfinder one actually had a pretty good starter set. I haven't seen that one, so I don't know. But learning complex rules. The way I've helped people be introduced to Rolemaster is I don't start them out with Rolemaster. I start them out with MERP. And MERP is a much more slimmed down, much simpler version of the Rolemaster rules. It only has the one chart or instead of a whole book of charts. And it's all percentage based, and people get percentage based. People talk percentages all the time. And with MERP, it's very simple. The character sheets are simple. You can whip up a character fairly quickly and be playing fairly quickly. So they get to do that, and they still experience the criticals and the combat being more deadly. It's just a simpler version of the rules. And they enjoy that so much between the skills based and the combat style and encouraging other styles of play that then over time, they're willing to take a stab at Rolemaster, and then I can layer in added complexity as they play. And then that's so it's a slowly boiled frog, if you will. Don't raise the temperature too quickly and they won't jump out. And that's the way we learn, is in layers like that. If I just throw you straight into Rolemaster and you're not an experienced gamer and a lot of patience, you are going to be scared, intimidated, and overwhelmed by Rolemaster. But I have had players come in who really struggled with math. So I started them with Rolemaster, with MERP, and then worked them up to Rolemaster. And it's just basic math, right? I mean, that's all just spreadsheets and basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. You don't have to do, complex math, some basic algebra sometimes. But it does help the people who are struggling. They stop becoming afraid of math, right? There's a lot of people who have an actual visceral fear of just doing even basic math. And when it becomes part of the game and it's just a constant routine, that fear quickly goes, it's exposure therapy. And they get better and better at their basic math because of it. And if they do ever go up to the GM level, then that even pushes their math skills more. The disservice that is done by these other games that have dumbed down the math is you're not giving that opportunity for the same level of growth. So that's just a little tangent about that, but something that people should be aware of. Let's see. David Griffith, I have to get ready for work. I look forward to becoming more involved. Wonderful. We hope you do. David Jess, Mahjong's an excellent suggestion. Are you looking to join as a researcher? David Jess says, enjoy work. And it looks like David Griffith may have left. I don't know. Yeah, thank you. And I hope you do join. Look forward to that. Thank you for your comments and questions. Appreciate it. Omar, comments about Rolemaster and what I was just talking about with the layering and the starter sets, etc.
No, it's all kind of new to me, so to just process it.
Okay. Eric?
I still haven't played through any starter sets, so I think I need that experience at some point.
Yeah, well, John and Danielle and Dan and Shane are going to be running BECME for Mostly Applied Gaming while I'm gone. So Sunday from 1 to 4 and 6 to 9 and Monday 7 to 10 this coming week, they're all going to be running Beck Me, the basic D&D starter set.
Are
So
they
much
going to be
like-
running the all powerful 5th edition?
No,
Or-
it's going to be the 1983 first edition or basic edition. Beck
Oh,
Me.
that's what I meant. I don't know why I said 5th. I'm sorry.
Very simple, very light rules, very basic, and it's just a dungeon crawl. And you can either make a character. It only takes 15 minutes to make a character, or you can just pick one of the pre-gens. That's how simple the rules are. It only takes 15 minutes to make a character. Yeah, and then a little longer to pick equipment for some people. Other people, it's faster. But once you've done it once, it takes 15 minutes to make a character total, and you're done. Your characters die very easily because they have very few hit points. If you hit 0, your character's dead. Just boom, dead. Danielle played a character with only 1 hit point for several sessions before her character died. With only 1 hit point. People play differently when characters die easily. They start thinking things through a lot better, and they become combat averse. They become more careful about it. If they're going to do combat, they're going to make sure they have more advantages. They're going to strategize. Now, at first, what most players do if they've never played before is they charge in and their characters all die and they have a TPK. They're like, oh, that sucked. Make new characters. It takes 15 minutes. Everybody makes new characters. They go in. Do they charge in the same way as before? No. They try something different. They go, okay, that didn't work. What should we do differently? And they try a different strategy. And if that works, great. They make it to the next level. If it doesn't, they go, oh, well, that didn't work either. What else can we try? Now, you got to be careful that they don't just keep failing all the time and then they become, learned helplessness. But usually, most people, and they can be as young as 4 years old, will strategize and figure out ways to not get their characters killed and then continue on into the castle and then into the dungeon, etc. And the good thing is, since it's easy to make a new character, yeah, they're bummed because their character made progress and they lose all their loot and treasure, what have you, but at least they're back into the game fairly quickly. At the same time, they don't want their character to die, so they're going to try to avoid getting their character killed, and they're going to learn through trial and error with very clear causality learning. Your character dies when you make bad choices, or you as a group make bad choices. You're going to get really good immediate feedback about good choices. So all those of you who've been through training on classical and operant conditioning, what is more effective for learning? Is it better if the consequence to an action is closely paired, distantly paired, or paired before? Which is the most effective for learning? So if the consequence is before an action, close to an action, or long after an action, which is the most effective for learning?
Close to right after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because before it doesn't really teach you causality. Before it's like, oh man, right? That doesn't teach you causality. And if it's long down the road, you don't always, there's so many other variables, you might not see what the choices you made that led to that consequence. That's like with little children and such. You're supposed to, and animals, you're supposed to do whatever reinforcement or punishment you want to do as immediately close to the incident as possible. If you wait too long, it's too far down the road for them to really pair the experiences. And it's the same thing with the gaming. If their characters get killed very quickly because of bad choices, they're more likely to learn from that than if it's abstracted out. That's part of the problem with 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition, is it's so hard for a character to really die that they often don't see the first bad choices they make. They only see the accumulated effect of many bad choices, and it's harder for them to parse out how to fix that because it's gone so far down the chain. With Beck Me, at least at the lower levels, it's very clear where you made the bad choice. You will hear them discuss, oh, maybe we shouldn't have just charged in and kicked in the door. Okay, next time let's do this, right? They can figure out the causality much more clearly early on. And then as they get in higher levels, it becomes more complex over time, but it's layered and they're becoming more sophisticated in their understanding so they can handle that. So that's why I keep bringing that one up. So yeah, if you can make it, we do need players because again, I'll be gone. So John, Danielle, and others will be taking turns because it's part of their GM certification training or DM diploma training. So they've got to get Beck Me signed off, and we need players to show up. So that's going to be this Sunday, 1 to 4, Sunday 6 to 9, Monday 7 to 10. Those will all be BECME sessions. And then the following week is theory, so only Sunday 6 to 9 will be BECME. But it's going to be BECME for the foreseeable number of weeks while everybody gets signed off on that, especially while I'm gone, because I'm the only one who has a lot of BECME experience. So we're trying to get all the GMs to run that and get practice. So that'd be a great chance for you to experience that. As we wrap up here, any last comments or questions, David?
I was going to briefly ask you, because I've been just putting together an outline of a research plan I was thinking of conducting.
Good.
Just to try and get actual research.
Excellent.
Rather than just reading about everything.
Excellent.
It's just a very quick rundown. I was going to just start with some interviews from just role RPG players from around Spokane, just to find out what they define RPG as, and why they play, before moving into some sort of analysis on how.
So you're talking a more qualitative study.
It is, yes.
Okay. All right.
I could potentially implement some sort of quantitative aspect to it. I don't really have much experience in developing surveys and analyzing them, but
okay, well, I can definitely help you with that.
Yep.
And I know Jonathan can help you with that as well while I'm gone.
Jonathan
right now is in the middle. One of his blog postings is based on surveys of gamers and why they like to role play.
Oh yeah, I think I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jonathan, while I'm gone, can definitely help you with putting together a survey. Plus, remember, he's a professor at the university there. He's PhD level.
Yeah, I'm very interested in learning from both Jonathan and Chris, because they both got.
Yes. Yeah, we have quite a few PhD levels in our team. Some haven't been as active as others because of hurricanes and other stuff. But yeah, we have quite a few PhD and PhD candidate and a couple of professors all on our team. So definitely make use of those resources. They can definitely help you along the way. I've done multiple surveys like you're talking about, so I can definitely help you when I get back. But go ahead and get that started with Jonathan. You can email him whatever early ideas you have, and he can help point you in directions of what you can start putting together.
Yeah, I might put together a whole plan first, and then I might.
Well, it wouldn't hurt you to just send your initial just basic idea to Jonathan for any suggestions of resources that he could point you to for helping you put it together.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think you'll save yourself a little bit of headache and speed up your process if you do that. If I had time, I would do that. But as I said, I got to wrap everything up. I've got the Zoe move and everything else. So
that's cool. No worries.
Yeah. So, but if you contact Jonathan, he should be able to help you with that.
Sweet.
Anything else?
That's everything.
Wonderful. Eric, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I just wanted to put you in the know. We got another blog from Jonathan. I think Omar and I both reviewed it over the last couple of days, so that may be coming your way.
Okay, good. I'll try to get all those caught up this week before I'm gone. And then I will try to be radio silence short of critical issues while I'm gone for the wedding and honeymoon and everything. So this Sunday morning is when I hit the road, and I will check in, but I'm going to try to do as little as possible. I'm going to try to let John, Danielle, Shane, Jonathan, and the others and Nicholas run things without me as much as possible. So unless it's a real fire, I'm just going to probably let everything pile up. And then I'll just have to catch up when I get back. And I should be back somewhere between July 16th and the 20th. Just so you know. Anything else, Eric?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to that. Omar, anything else you want to touch on?
No, just to confirm, I sent Jonathan's draft back yesterday, so he definitely will be sending it back to you soon.
Good. Okay. I'll be watching. If you guys get it to me this week, that's better. That way I can actually get stuff published, because otherwise it might be about a 3-week delay. But keep it going. Keep your momentum. If you're waiting for one blog posting, start on another. Don't lose the momentum, because when I get back, I'm hoping we'll be putting out, I'll schedule it so that we're putting out one blog posting a week minimum as you guys get this queued up. But you guys have to keep it going and not get stalled while I'm gone. and then we'll have a nice rhythm of stuff coming out. And you guys will be doing one thing a week, but cumulatively, we'll be putting out 1 or 2 blog postings. You guys will be working once per month, but we'll be putting out a blog posting every 1 or 2 per week. That's going to really help, I think, over time with people's engagement and interest, especially once they switch to public, and more likely increase the people who join as Patreon supporters, etc. So do please keep that momentum. And keep in mind, those of you who've been doing this for more than 6 months now, start thinking about what your 6-month research project's going to be. You want to start working on your essay. Eric, it's looking like yours might just be building on the bleed and putting that together in a formal essay eventually. Keep doing the blog postings because you're fleshing that out, but start thinking about what your bigger 6-month essay might be. I would like all of you to have at least 6 blog postings under your belt before your first essay, right? So that you've gotten enough practice. So it's less of a 6 months thing, even though ideally that was what we hoped for, and more of a 6 blog postings thing. Once you've gotten 6 blog postings out, then you still got to keep doing the monthly blog posting, but you got to start working on your big essay. And then looking forward to that. And then that one, once you get a couple of, 1 or 2 essays under your belt, that's when I hope we can start looking at the actual research studies and starting to put those together, again, depending upon funding and resources, etc. We've got another dozen researchers in the queue on applying. I've got to postpone their interviews. I scheduled their interviews next week. So now I got to go back and reschedule all of them for when I get back, because I'm the only one who can do the researcher interviews, because that's over John and Danielle's head at this point. And but we've got another dozen researchers in the queue wanting to join up from around the world. So that'll rapidly pick up when I get back from the honeymoon. But thank you guys so much for being here. Please keep coming every Tuesday. Don't let Jonathan be alone here. Try to be on time as best you can. I know, Omar, you have to come in later because of work, but everybody else do try to be here. Try to come in a few minutes before 9 a.m. if you can. And then David, if you can also teach others how to do the record thing, so we have multiple people able to record just in case. And then David, go ahead and send me the links to those recordings, and I'll download them, etc.
That sounds good.
Okay, at least teach Jonathan how to do the recordings when you next meet. But you guys have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful several weeks. I'll miss doing this. It's going to be hard to unplug. I haven't. It's been about 2.5, 3 years because I've been training everybody so intensely. I basically haven't had time. Like, I used to take off to the wilderness all the time, and it's been a long time since I had a chance to unplug. I'm not going to be in the wilderness. I'm going to be in New Orleans, which will be awesome music and food and heat. But Katie and I might also, on the way back, we might stop up in either Idaho or Utah for a brief couple of days up in the wilderness or something, just to decompress that much more and maybe cool off because of the Louisiana heat. But you guys have keep it up. You're doing a great work here. It's great seeing the conversation, so keep those going. And I wish you all the best next few weeks, and I'll see you all in a few weeks.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Enjoy your wedding.
Bye-bye.
And those of you watching the stream, remember we stream live to everybody. And then our Patreon supporters get access a month or more before the general public to the blog postings, the videos, special events, the research, etc. So if you'd like, and that's our way of saying thank you, since we don't have any product, our best way of thanking our donors and supporters is to give them early access. So if you'd like to help us, we're a 501c3 nonprofit studying the effects of all role-playing game formats and their potential to help improve lives. And you'd like to help us with our 5 days a week of research and 2 days a week of community programs, you can help us by swinging by rpgresearch.com/donate. You can either do it by joining as a Patreon supporter, and then that gives you the early access. There's all sorts of different tier levels, $5, $10, $20, $25. Or if you don't like Patreon for whatever reason, although again, that helps us a lot to have that monthly support. It really helps us plan these research studies, etc., to have a budget that we can count on. But if you don't like Patreon for various reasons, PayPal, you can also do it through PayPal. It's on the same page, rpgresearch.com/donate. You can subscribe monthly through PayPal, or you can do a one-time donation through PayPal. Or if that's more than you want to do, if you use Amazon to shop, go to smile.amazon.com and you can pick a charity. Now, you can only pick one charity at a time, but you can select us. We are listed on Amazon because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, you can select RPG research. So it's just RPG space research. Select us as your charity. And then every time you shop on Amazon at smile.amazon.com, and it has to be smile.amazon.com. If you go to www.amazon.com, it doesn't count. That's the little trick they don't tell you. So you got to do all your shopping on smile.amazon.com. It doesn't change anything else. You just got to remember that URL. A small percentage they donate to us. It doesn't cost you anything more. You don't have to do anything extra other than just go to smile.amazon.com. And it's like 0.00004% or something. But cumulatively, if enough people do that, we could do okay. Now, we've gotten a couple of checks from them so far, and they just for the first time made it to double digits. So it's a very small amount, but as people keep doing that in the aggregate, that will keep improving. So do consider that smile.amazon.com, or again through Patreon, which can help directly and get that early access. But do please consider donating. Even if you're a volunteer already, do please consider donating, or at the very least, picking the smile.amazon.com option to help us out. These videos, again, will be available a month later, and we welcome your comments at any time. Swing by rpgresearch.com for more. If you want to volunteer, you go to rpgresearch.com/volunteer. We have a whole hiring process. You can find us on Indeed.com as well. So wherever you may be well, happy gaming, and namaste. And so Jonathan will be running things. There won't be any more research meetings for the next 3 weeks. They'll be recording them, and they'll be uploaded to Patreon. But there won't be any live broadcasts on Tuesday until I get back. So July 22nd or 3rd or something like that is when the next live research meeting. But there still will be Sunday meetings from 1 to 4, 6 to 9, and then Mondays from 6 to 10, and also the RPG Talk Show Monday 4 to 5. Those will still be happening in my absence, so you can enjoy all those. All those are at rpgresearch.com. You can click on our calendar schedule. Wherever you may be well, happy gaming, and namaste.